Everyone, and welcome. I'd like to start by apologizing for coming out so late. With that being said, I'm going to invite everybody to please stand for the pledge so that we can get started with this part of the meeting. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you so much. So now we're going to go to A3, which are questions on agenda items. I have them before me. We have the first question from Stephanie Rivera on item D1B, 63A. What are the qualifications and what are the attributes of a well-rounded candidate for this position, i.e. test, score, leadership, and experience? And let me just add that 63A, as we do at the beginning of every meeting, fill in or add any changes. 63A, the name will be filled in with Michael Adamo. The position remains the same as school crew maintenance leader, reason replacement, and the effective date is 10/25/21. So again, the name there is Michael Adamo. Mr. Lushner, is there? Oh. Okay. Okay. So, you know what? It's not on our agenda, but Superintendent Loshner did tell me that we have a special presentation, so I am going to hold off on agenda items. Mr. Loshner, it's all yours.
Yes, this is really just thrilling. We have, we're consistent winners or placing in the Spanish spelling bee, and we're thrilled this year to have another outstanding speller with us. But before I introduce him, I'm not going to introduce him. I'm going to introduce the Assistant Superintendent in charge of secondary and bilingual education. She may have the honor to introduce an outstanding young man.
Good evening, education and community members. So tonight, we have a surprise for you. As you can see, is it on? Hi, Pablo. Come here. So we have a surprise for you tonight. We have here Pablo Herrera, and I don't know if you remember, but Pablo won in 2019. He won the National Spanish Spelling Bee. Last summer, this summer, he surprised us again. He actually won second place on the National Spelling Bee.
Wow.
And he wanted to show the Board of Education and the community all of his trophies, and you can see everything that is here. Even Newsday had a display. Okay, so that's why we're here today. But Pablo doesn't know this, and I don't know if many of you understand the importance of bilingual education, but when you're very strong in your first language, you transfer those skills into the English language so quickly. He came to this school in 2018 for the first time from Colombia. He scored commanding on the 9th SLAT this year. That means that he reached the highest proficiency level that anyone can reach, and he no longer needs to be in a bilingual or any else setting. He doesn't know. For that, we thank you. Tonight here we have his teachers, Karen Morgan, Francia Cortez, and the principal, Felicia Thomas. Thank you so much. And to celebrate tonight, we are giving Pablo a certificate for scoring commanding on the 9th SLAT, and also we are giving him a gift card so he can go out to dinner with his parents and celebrate the night. So thank you. Thank you so much. Now, we do need to take a picture because this has to be on Facebook tomorrow. Okay? Can we do that before we start? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Mask on.
I think we can take it off when we get up there. I have a smiley face mask, so that should go up. I don't have to do any work.
It's been a stressful day. Look what happened. These students are amazing, though. You know, it just like sharing these stories with my own kids. You can come and do.
Just to make sure.
Congratulations.
Enjoy your dinner. Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to continue with the questions on agenda items. This first one is from Stephanie Rivera, D1B, 63A. Ms. Lochner, if you can, this is the school maintenance crew leader. What are the qualifications and what are the attributes of a well-rounded candidate for this position, i.e. test score, leadership experience? If there's anything that you could add, I don't know if you wanted to.
I think I'll probably. Excuse me, you know, actually the supervisor, I'll defer that to Ms. O'Connor. If you could give us an answer to that, Ms. O'Connor, that'd be great.
Sure. The position is school crew maintenance leader of our grounds department, so we're looking for somebody with experience in grounds who can not just only cut grass, there's a lot of different experiences that would count. You know, it's not just cutting grass and raking leaves, that's obviously a big part of this, but they also do some cement work, some fencing work. Snow removal is very big. Just maintaining the aesthetics of our grounds department. We're looking for a leader who can run multiple crews, keep them working efficiently and on task, in somebody who can multitask to keep that going. So there are a lot of different attributes we would look for in this position.
Thank you. There is a second part to this. Does it require a test score?
This is a non-competitive position, so there is no civil service test for the position.
Okay, thank you. The next question is from Carmen Oyola, and it's agenda item says D1B, and I was trying to locate number 5, 14, 18, 33, 36, and 38. And the question is, why are these positions being rescinded or rescinded? But I couldn't.
Robert, can you repeat?
So it's D1B, 514, items number 5, 14, 18, 33, 36, and 38. Ms. Oyola, can you explain what you mean by rescinded?
I don't see that.
They're being reduced, Carmen Oyola, Brentwood resident. They're being reduced, they're going back to their hours. In September, and Mr. Lochner, I asked you this question because 3 of the members were at 5.5, and then those 3 members got 6.5, and you explained because they have been doing this for many, many years, and you are right. Now, they're being 33, 36, and 38 are the ones that were the 5.5, and they are going back to the 5.5 to a 6-hour instead of the 6.5. I'd like to know why. I was informed that there was no documentation of the legal approval or the right approval for that to go from the 5.5 to the 6.5. And I said, well, I thought the superintendent had all the approval rights in the world, but I guess not, Ms. Lochner. I don't know. And I'm not agreeing with this. I don't know who sits and puts this agenda together, but it was put together, it was agreed upon then. Why are we taking it away? These members have been filling out that 1 hour extra time sheet. What is the problem?
Okay, you have to give me the numbers again.
I'll give
Sure.
this to you, Ms. Lochner. I'll just give you the, Carmen, if you can, how about we do this, give us some time to take a look at this, because we actually
Sure.
had a question about this, and what was explained to us, quite bluntly, was that the effort was to make increases for everyone who wanted them. There were some members who chose not to, but it was
Right.
by their own volition.
Right.
So what I'm going to do tonight, in order to address this, is I will give your sheet to Mr. Lochner. He has the item numbers here. Give him some time to take a look into it, and then he'll get back to you directly.
That means that's not going to be directed tonight.
Well, no,
Correct.
we won't be
Correct.
able to correct this tonight
So then I ask that all those numbers, 33, 36, 38, 13, 5, 14, and 18, be tabled and don't vote on it. Because you're bringing back the numbers, for argument's sake, number 5, they were originally a 4 back in September. They were brought up to a 6. Now they're being brought back down to a 5. Table all of this then. Don't do this.
But if I can make a recommendation, Carmen, okay? Because I see that one is a reduction in hours, but there were many that also have increases in hours.
Yeah, no.
Right.
I don't understand if you vote on it the month prior to increase it and gave them the time, why are we taking it back
Okay,
now?
all right, so here is really the compromise, Carmen, okay? Because what happens is, you're absolutely right, and I sent out a memo to all of the principals that if they want to increase their TA and monitor hours, which I started last year, continued into this year, if they wanted to max out at 6 hours, first I asked the principals if they needed it.
Right,
I have to be honest with you, they all said yes.
yes.
Okay.
No, the list
Right.
last month was very
Right.
long.
But then the next step in the procedure was they had to go and ask the monitors and TAs if they wanted to be increased from 4 hours to 5 hours,
Right.
4 hours to 6 hours, or whatever the agreement was.
And that was done.
And that was done. Now, there are many that are being increased on the list you just spoke
Right,
about.
and that's
And
why
there-
I am not touching those,
Right.
because those are new ones. I'm talking about what was voted last month.
Right.
And now you guys are changing it.
Well, I'm just telling you, if we can continue, we'll approve
Yeah.
all of these. I will talk to the principals, like you're saying number 5.
Mm-hmm.
And, Jacqueline, I don't know, she's a special education TA. I don't know where she's located. I'll find out where. If she agreed,
So, the numbers are 5, 14, 18.
Right.
Those are being brought back down. The 33, 36, and 38 are being brought back down again. And again, like I said, what I found shocking was the fact that I even asked you the question, say there were 3 members that had 6.5. And I know that other members are gonna be like, well, why did they get 6.5 and I only got 6? And I asked you, you said it was principal's discretion, and that these 3 members that got the 6.5 all have been working this extra time on the payroll for more than 10 years. The ones at Oak Park, which are 2 of them, have been under the principal's discretion as Ms. Perez, Ms. Cologne, Ms. Rogers, and now Ms. Candela. So payroll has approved it.
Sure.
You did last month. Why are we taking it back?
well, as I say, Carmen, I actually see some of those as increases.
Right.
What I'm asking you is, because it might actually hurt some of the members if we do this, let's approve it.
Hurt them? What do you mean?
Well, because I don't want to reduce some of their hours, okay, if they don't mean to. Now, here's what I mean. If we just use 5 as an example, okay? That particular TA, it says here, is going from 6 hours to 5 hours daily. Okay?
Right, she
If I-
was a 4.
Okay, so she's a 4.
She was a 4
We-
in September, was increased to a 6, and now it's being brought down to a 5.
Okay, well, here's what I'm saying to you. let the Board of Education approve these. This, young lady, I don't know her, may have spoken to the principal or her supervisor and may have wanted the 5 hours.
Well, I don't know that, and again, and neither do you, and
Right.
that's why I said, let's table it. Leave it as is, don't touch it.
Table those three?
Leave it.
Well,
Don't touch it. Everybody else, you can increase, like you said, they're increases, they're not decreases, but you're decreasing them. And again, what I was informed, Mr. Lochner, was that the 6.5, the 3 that I started with first, there was no written approval from Paul Nolan at the time when he was in Human Resource. And what surprises me is that there was a posting on October 6th for a 6.25 monitor. And I was told that there is a written approval in Human Resource for this. 15 minutes, what is this? We're playing numbers. So this is why I stand strong on it, table it. I spoke to the LRS and no, don't change and table it because it's not fair.
Okay, well, it's ultimately the board's decision, but I'm telling you this, that if she is again, using number 5 as an example, if she is a 6-hour monitor, or in this case, a TA, excuse me.
TA.
If she is a 6-hour TA today, she'll be a 6-hour TA tomorrow, okay? She would just have to fill in that hour overtime, and we would rectify it in November, okay? I think you should know me, Carmen, and this board as well. We don't want to cut hours. As a matter of fact, we just had
You can't cut hours, there's 81 positions still open.
That's right. But you don't understand, we're committed to raising hours, and also, you're in the middle of a contract negotiation, I don't want to talk about that, but
Right.
we're committed to this organization. So I'm not trying to cut hours. I'm just saying that there must have been a conversation between a supervisor and this TA.
Well, that's
Reduce
what
it to 5 hours.
So, Ms. Ayola, if I can just jump in,
So-
so you have our commitment, right? That because we don't know why necessarily this went from 6 to 5, there may have been a conversation. You have our commitment that, from us, that we're saying is that we will correct this retroactively if that is indeed what needs to happen.
Well, unfortunately, as president, I am supposed to be informed when reductions or increases are made. I got all these increases, but these specified reductions I did not receive. And if I would have received some information, like you said, maybe the member can't do the 6. Maybe she can only do the 5. I don't know. We're not knowing. That's what I'm saying, just table it. If they can't do it, then they're just gonna work the 5 hours. There's no harm in just leaving it as is, approval of everything else, and let it go.
Can I ask a
Mr. Motion, are you
question?
okay with that?
Yeah, like I said, whatever the board wants to do, excuse me,
The 33,
because I want
36,
them
and
to work whatever they want to work. If they want to work
Yeah.
6 hours, I want it to work 6.
Okay.
If not, whatever you agree.
As long as you're okay with that.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
I think I
Thank you.
agree with Carmen.
Thank you.
If we can leave the raises,
Yes.
because we do have a lot that are going
Yeah.
from 5 to 6.
Sure, absolutely.
Leave that
Okay,
5 to 6.
all right, point well taken.
So we're going to.
Yeah, so we'll
What
put
I
it
was gonna
up.
say is some of these are not reductions, they're raised by a half hour. No, but the numbers you gave is 33, 36, and 38?
Yeah,
33 is 5.5 hours to 6
if you
hours.
look at September's, they went from 5.5 to 6.5.
Oh,
So
now
yes, they're reducing them down to 6.
Okay.
Oh,
I see
yeah,
what you mean. Thank you.
thank you.
Okay. Thank you for bringing that to our attention, Ms. Ayola. So the next, we have
Are we tabling
gonna
this?
question, yeah, when we get to, we'll
get to it.
table it. All right, so
Okay.
that give time to Mr. Lochner to look into
Yep.
this. So, questions from Mr. Moss, D1C, or, D1C. Approval for legal defense. The question is, did every defendant listed hand in a letter acknowledging receipt of the lawsuit to be able to be indemnified tonight? To the best of my knowledge, the answer is yes. D1F, what are the stages of the selection process for this position in detail? D1F, what are the stages of the selection process for this position in detail since the posting in April since the posting was in April. And I want to say that the answer to that is that we follow the policy, hiring policy 9240, and that the stages that we use for the selection process are as per our hiring policy. B2M,
Can I ask a follow-up question to that?
we really are not trying to do follow-up question. Go ahead, Mr. Morse.
At what point in the hiring process was residency evaluated?
I think that it's evaluated all the way through the process. I think that that is, it's not the only criteria, but it is, as you know, in our policy as an item that we look at as a district.
I understand what you're saying, but that doesn't seem very reasonable. Usually you would have to sit down and do an evaluation at one of those stages, or at some stage, at some point in time, not, continuous. We all don't do everything all the time. So I'm asking, when did that evaluation of residency take place?
I answered the question, Mr. Moss. I'm sorry that that doesn't satisfy you, but that's my answer. Okay, so B2M. It's agreement between Brentwood Union Free School District and Girls Incorporated of Long Island. B2M, what is this company going to do for Brentwood? What was there a bid for on this contract? I don't know, Mr. Lotion, who's the best person to answer that?
I can answer a little bit about Girls Inc. Girls Inc. has been in our district probably about 5 years right now. And they're kind of the sister of My Brother's Keeper, if you will.
You can take a few minutes if you want.
You know what? Thank you. Thank you very much.
As you're speaking.
Yeah, I know. So yes, Girls Inc. is really just an outstanding organization. And they're, as I was saying, they're kind of a sister organization to My Brother's Keeper, which it's another very vibrant organization here in the district. Girls Inc., I was just there at the Freshman Center yesterday. They had some speakers in to meet with the kids and go over what the expectations are this year. I'm kind of lost as what the question is, so you're going to have to, I'm just giving it.
So what is the company going, what do they do for this, for the Brentwood district under this contract?
Okay, so they will have this year, the yearly contract, which is obviously every year renewed. They will have a series of speakers come in, meet with the young ladies. It's about proper decision-making, good decision-making. There's also some goal setting. Also, it is really camaraderie building, if you will. So they're going to go on field trips together. There'll be college visits. As I said, there'll be multiple speakers that will come in and motivate the young ladies and also introduce them to college and careers. So there's really a very focused goal behind Girls Inc. And as I said, it's very much related to My Brother's Keeper, where we know that's extremely successful. Now, I do have the assistant superintendents. They can weigh in as well. But like I said, it's a very, very vibrant organization. And I think they do great things with the young ladies, particularly at the Freshman Center. Our own guidance counselor, Antoinette Shervington, kind of spearheads that over in the Freshman Center. She really kind of rallies the troops and have quite a few kids involved in that. We're bringing it up to the high school as well. So there's lots of great things happening with that organization.
How long have they been, do you know how long they've been in this district?
I would suspect it's probably about the fifth year. About the fourth and fifth year. We brought that in really right about the same time we brought My Brother's Keeper in.
Yeah. So there is another part of this question. So was there a bid for this contract?
That I'd have to ask, Stacy, do we have a bid for that, or is that just,
I believe it's just written into the grant.
Yeah, it's part of a grant, and we pay out of what grant?
Title IV?
Title IV, okay.
So this is to meet our obligation under Title IV, and some of these organizations are identified as potential partners to meet the
Exactly.
obligations that we have.
Yeah, when you write a grant, you partner with many organizations within your district. We obviously partner with YES, for example. We partner with other organizations, EOCs, many others. So Girls Inc., I guess, Wanda, when were they written into the contract? Do you know how many years about? Is it 4 or 5?
5 years.
5 years.
We started at Hamlet and West Middle. Now we're bringing it to all the middle schools and the high school.
Right.
So can you, there's another part, and that is maybe just a second part to this. So how are these companies initially selected?
So this company in particular, they have been in the state, for many, many years. Okay? And they provide the service. We don't have a selection process that we have a list of different organizations like that. We don't-
So who is there, I'm assuming there's a team that goes through, and I probably know some of these answers, so central administration gets together, you get together with, maybe the coordinator funded programs, you look at what the objective is, you look at what the obligations are, you look at what the resources are in the state, you come together, you vet some of these things amongst yourself based on the experiences that you know of in other districts, and this is how you kind of narrow it down.
Absolutely. And this was brought here by Dr. Actor when we started, as you mentioned before.
Yeah.
Mr. Lochner, my brother's keeper, we wanted to have something very similar to my brother's keepers, also for girls. And she was the one for us.
Yeah.
My concern is that this is over $50,000, and so I'm wondering what the selection process is for a company getting a contract that's over $50,000 for the year.
Well, I think we just explained it, Mr. Moss.
Actually, when you think about how much is spent per building, it's really like $11,000 per building. And the number of students that they service is really not a lot of money for us.
Right.
What we're spending for our girls.
Right.
So the point that Mr. Moss was
This
trying
is a
to.
legal question financially.
Yeah, so the point that Mr. Moss is trying to make is that, the aggregate, the total amount amongst all buildings exceeds $50,000. And are there, laws that require that this needs to be bid once we reach that threshold? I don't know, Ms. O'Connor, if there's any way.
I believe when the grant was written, it was partnered, and it was written contingent on this company coming in to do this kind of work. So when that happens and you have that partnership, we can go with that company. And there are certain, we look at the MBWE companies first, on grants. So there are different companies that we look at to assess and then ultimately pick who we think will meet our needs the best and then partner with them on some grants.
And I think, if I'm not mistaken, this is it a woman-owned company? I believe it is. And it met that criteria. And also, as Ms. Ortiz said, it actually is in now, how many schools?
All the middle schools.
All the middle schools. Right. Right, so when we cost it out over, because you do have to pay an advisor, they're going on trips, we bring speakers in, it's really, it's quite an organization, and I would encourage everybody, if you have an opportunity to come out and listen to the speakers. They're extremely motivational, and I think they've done wonderful work with our kids.
So very similar process was used for the My Brother's Keeper program, where we're writing it into the grant. You've mentioned that as a comparison, the same kind of approach.
So what you're saying is if I look up Girls Inc., I'm going to find that they're an MWBE certified company?
No,
They're not?
no, we're not saying that. We're saying, Ms. O'Connor answered the question.
Because then what I'm saying to you as a board is that you are probably going to be approving an illegal contract tonight, which is why I asked the question. Anything that's over $50,000, unless that company is certified MWBE on record with the district, then it shouldn't be going over $50,000. And my other concern is about residency. I have been advocating for decades for the people in this community that they get access to these types of contracts. We are constantly contracting with people outside this neighborhood when we have very capable nonprofit organizations, for-profit organizations of people in this community who know how to help this community. And so I am very concerned that this was not available to the entire community. And I think it's really important as you increase this contract to more than double what it was last year or the year before, that other residential organizations, nonprofits, and for-profits get a chance to put forward their plan for our children. Thank you.
Thank you. That is the last of our questions on agenda items. We are going to move to consent agenda. Be it resolved that the following items be approved, B1A through B1M. Could I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by trustee Burgos. Could I have a second? Second by trustee Safiri. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? So moved. Be it resolved that the following items be approved, B2A through B2EE. Could I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Motion by trustee Gonzalez Prescott. Could I have a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Moore. All in favor?
Abstain.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions?
Abstain.
We have one abstention from trustee Holder Daniel. Be it resolved that the following items be approved, C1A and C1B. Could I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Motion by trustee Gonzalez Prescott. Could I have a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Burgos. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? So moved. We're now going to the D items. D1A, appointments, resignations, and leaves of certificated personnel as proposed on the agenda. Could I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Motion by trustee Safiri. Could I have a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Holder Daniel. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? So moved. We're on D1B, appointments and resignations and leaves of non-certificated personnel. We will have to amend this resolution. So the first amendment, or the first action would be to amend item 63A and add the name Michael Adamo. Again, 63A would read Michael Adamo, position school crew maintenance leader, reason replacement. Could I have a motion to amend?
Motion.
Motion by trustee Moore. Could I have a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Safiri. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion to amend passes. So now we are going to ask that we table items 5, item 14, item 18, item 33, item 36, and item 38. Motion to table?
Motion.
Motion by trustee Safiri. Could I have a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Burgos. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Now we're going to go to the original resolution as amended. So D1B, appointments, resignations, and leaves of non-certificated personnel as amended and as tabled. Could I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Motion by trustee Holder Daniel. Could I have a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Burgos. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? So moved. We are on D1C, approval for legal defense as proposed on the agenda. Could I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Motion by trustee Holder Daniel. Could I have a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Gonzalez Prescott. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? So moved. D1D, approval for special legal counsel as proposed on the agenda. Could I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Motion by trustee Safiri, could I have a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Holder Daniel, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? So moved. D1E, 913 resolution, as proposed on the agenda. Could I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Motion by trustee Moore, could I have a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Safiri, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? So moved. D1F, Administrative Table of Organization, Coordinator of Math, Science, and Technology. Be it resolved that upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, the Board of Education hereby appoints Ms. Dion Surratt as Coordinator of Math, Science, and Technology for a 4-year probationary period effective November 8th, 2021 through November 7th, 2025, and be it further resolved that Ms. Surratt shall be remunerated at a salary in accordance with the stipulations of the negotiated agreement between the Brentwood School District and the Brentwood Principals and Supervisors Organization. Could I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Motion by trustee Moore. Could I have a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Gonzalez Prescott. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? So moved. Congratulations, Ms. Surratt. You want to stand up and introduce yourself? Ms. Surratt, on behalf of the board and superintendent, we're so excited to have you here and looking forward to everything that you're going to add to
Great
us.
things, great things.
Mr. Lochner?
No, I tell you, we are so excited to have Dion on board. Really, she's just a terrific lady, and I really think she's going to move us forward
Great.
in great ways.
Okay. So D1G, addition of new position to the district's table of organization, Assistant Business Administrator, as proposed on the agenda. Could I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Motion by trustee Holder Daniel. Could I have a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Gonzalez Prescott. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? So moved. E1A, student enrollment figures, as proposed on the agenda. F1-4 are miscellaneous items only. Mr. Lochner, G1A, old and new business.
Okay, you know I have lots of things obviously happening in the district. Really, as I say every month, just too many things to list, but I'll start with just a few of the items. Northwell Health's Wellness on Wheels is visiting our elementary schools over the next few weeks. I was at a couple of the schools that they've already visited. The purpose of the program is to introduce our primary level students in grades 1 and 2 to healthy eating habits through What's on My Plate presentation. All students receive a healthy recipe cookbook and vegetables to take home and make the recipe with their families. They will also return in the spring, the same organization, to engage children in learning about planting and growing healthy foods. The guidance department, they conducted a senior parent college admissions information night. Over 100 parents and students attended in person. Presentations were conducted by Brentwood High School school counselors in both English and Spanish. Also, on the same vein, we've had over 20 college representatives. And again, I had the opportunity to visit over in the high school in the different libraries. So we've had 20 colleges already. They come onto the campus. It's scheduled by the guidance department. So we've already had in a number, obviously we have over 20, but Boston University, SUNY Binghamton, Stony Brook, Farmingdale, Marist, just to name a few. And what I like about this is students meet in small groups. Like I said, in the Ross, they have other offices where they meet. And they have an opportunity to meet with a recruiter and ask questions and learn about the college. And the guidance department has been doing that for a number of years. It's really terrific. We have Operation Fafsa for the next 3 Saturdays to help parents complete their child's financial aid forms. This event is by appointment. But again, that's on Saturdays. The guidance department comes in and meets with parents of seniors, I guess, maybe even graduating juniors, and they'll actually go over how to complete the FAFSA, and many times they take it from beginning to end at that appointment. We are in our 4th year of Smart Scholars, and we'll have the first cohort graduate this year with more than 24 college credits from Farmingdale. And this was an initiative that this board was really behind, obviously led by Mr. Feliciano. And, 4 years later, we have kids graduating with 24 college credits from Farmingdale, all free of charge. Currently, there are approximately 150 students taking classes grades 9 through 12 as part of this program. That deserves a round of applause.
Mr. Lochner, if I can just clarify, and this is what's so wonderful about this, is that, in the 2 years, I think that, this really does start to take off in 11th and 12th grade. We have the ability to send off our kids with a whole year of college paid for by the district, and those credits, are transferable to other institutions. So it really is, even for somebody who's looking to just get their associate's a student, you leave the Brentwood School District with a year in your pocket, you only have to go for another year. And I know we partner with Suffolk Community. The district transports you from the high school to Suffolk Community. It's a dual enrollment program, and I just think that it's wonderful.
It's really amazing, and you're right. I mean, SUNY Farmingdale, obviously, you can transfer to any SUNY school, and all of those credits will transfer. There's really no questions asked. Obviously, I think you have to maintain.
Do you know how we're doing with the dual enrollment program?
Yeah, the dual enrollment, I believe, I don't have the exact number, but because this is obviously the beginning of a new year, and it's
Yep.
kind of an odd year. But we had anywhere to 30 to 40 students taking advantage of that. But I'll get that number for the board next month. But yeah, we have Suffolk Community College. We have a few other articulation agreements. But between this and AP courses, I had the opportunity to meet with the top 10 from both Ross and Sondling. And many of those students are leaving with 20 or more credits.
Wonderful.
It's really, really outstanding. So, okay, we're real excited about this. Our Super Saturday Academy is a 5-week enrichment program at Laurel Park for over 200 of our grades 4th and 5th, 200 students in grades 4 and 5. And they will be going to school on a Saturday from 9 to 12, starting on November 6th. 9 to 2, thank you. It's a full day, that's right. Parents should sign up via Parent Square. I really want to thank Ms. Palmer. She's done an outstanding job securing which she loves to tell me almost on a daily basis, but she got a $650,000 grant over 5 years. And her and Vincent Leone really worked on that, so we have the opportunity to give this Saturday Academy via a grant for the next 5 years. Our Earth Bus partnership started last Friday and is proving to be a great success. Dr. Becky Grella is working with a cohort of high school science teachers and research students under the guidance of Stony Brook University's professors and Hitachi to develop student-driven lessons for implementation of our grade 4 and 5 classrooms. So if you're ever driving by our schools and you see what looks like an old beat-up bus, it's actually not an old beat-up bus. It is a bio lab. It's really the coolest thing. It has really high-tech microscopes on it. Professors come out from Stony Brook University and they meet with groups of kids. We actually bring in students in 40-minute increments. Last week I was there for the earth science students. They came in, they worked with these incredibly high-powered microscopes. They learned from professors who work in the field. And our hope with Dr. Greller, obviously at the forefront, we hope to bring in some of our own buses and convert, hopefully, some old buses to biolabs ourselves. But it's really outstanding. It's just another great program we run here. So on October 11th, COPA held a very successful soccer tournament for our students to participate. participate in. COPA stands for Community Obligation, Professionalism, and Achievement. I have to thank all of the teachers, particularly at the high school, actually, they're kind of all over at this point, who really work to build up this program. This was totally teacher-driven, and it has become such a big part of the school community. A total of 12 teams and 167 students participated in the tournament. Trophies were given to first, second, and third, and fourth place in each category. There were about 300 people, not just the athletes, who took part in the day. It really is an outstanding organization. I want to send a big thanks out there to the teachers who really drive this club. On October 13th, the high school held an E&L Parent Information Night for our newcomers to the district. Teachers and counselors gave parents an overview of the school structure, graduation requirements, and ways to get assistance for their students. We signed them into Parent Square, and I believe Miss Ortiz and the assistant coordinators are really just three outstanding people who came over along with a whole group of teachers and they targeted 9th and 10th grade parents really new to the district, and it really was an outstanding evening. I happened to catch the tail end of it. And you know what? It's just another thing that we do very well. I think we welcome people. What we really are cognizant about is we have many families who are newly arrived, and really the bilingual department, they reach out and they really welcome these newly arrived families and students right away and really bring them up to speed. So we try our best not to let kids be in school without really becoming familiar with our structures and our procedures, because as you can imagine, it's extremely intimidating. And I really want to thank them for going out of their way.
And it's just going to get better because we also won a grant.
Oh, you did? Wait, was this a competition?
The welcoming grant, the welcoming center grant.
Oh my God, that welcoming center. Wait, that's over $1 million, right?
Yes.
Yeah, wow, that's right.
For our immigrant families, that's what I mentioned.
Yes,
So
yeah.
do you want to just elaborate a little bit? You might as well celebrate. You want to just come up and tell us what this is? What is it that we're talking about?
So, do I have to go on mic?
Just so that everybody can hear you. That's fine.
I think it's what is it, 1.1?
1.6.
1.6?
So I was
testing Miss Ortiz.
When-
She knows numbers like,
okay. So last spring we had the opportunity to write a grant, and I was told, okay, just write for around $100,000. And I said, you know what? I don't know. I think I want to write for a little bit more. So I wrote it for, we wrote it for $1,665,000. And we got it. You have to see Dr. Vincent Leone's reaction when we got this grant. And it is actually to open a welcoming center for the Brentwood School District. We knew that even if we didn't get the grant, we were going to have this happen because we know that we make things happen here, right? So we do have a center there. We have a guidance counselor that helps us here in the registration office. Her name is Michelle Stiliano. She's the homeless liaison for the district. And then we hired this year a social worker. We're also going to hire a parent coordinator that is going to help our families, and it's going to be cyclical. So when our immigrant families come here, we're going to see them, we're going to welcome them, we're going to have workshops with them, and then we're going to check in with them again to see how they're doing and how can we best support them.
Yep.
It is a great opportunity, and I'm very happy because, as you know, we're getting many immigrant families coming into the schools right now.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yes.
yeah, the family center now is 2 years old?
2 years.
Yeah, and you know what? Again, thank you to Ms. Ortiz and, really the entire department. It's
Yes.
really outstanding. And as she said, that we really have gone out of our way to ensure that these newly arrived families and students feel welcome.
So that family center is based here, not necessarily in the buildings.
It is not in the buildings,
Right
but
outside.
But
Yep.
the social workers and the parent coordinator will be helping the families also in the buildings.
And there'll also be evening hours as well.
Yes.
So it's not, we recognize that some parents can't get here during the day. So they'll also be here in the evenings to meet with, with families.
Are we partnering with any community organizations?
Yeah, we made the road, we wrote it on the grant, and with Pronto also.
Yeah,
And with Counsel?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
thank you. We have so much going on, that actually didn't even make the list, to tell you. That's how impressive we are. And the Freshman Center is hosting Trick or Treat Street on Tuesday, October 26th from 4:30 to 6:30. All elementary students are welcome to wear costumes. There'll be games, prizes, and more. So, as you know what, as I say every month, there's just so much more going on. I think you also know that we recognized 6 teachers last night. We're recognized by Assemblyman Phil Ramos. We want to thank Assemblyman Ramos for hosting a teacher appreciation night. 6 of our wonderful teachers were recognized. It really was a beautiful event. That was in combination with MDQ, Central Islip, and Bayshore. So lots of other things going on.
Thank
Oh, I
you.
should tell you too, why we're all sweating right now, right? In this hot auditorium, there is a open swim night across the way. We have dozens and dozens of community members going to family swim night, which is every Thursday evening. I think that deserves a round of applause. It really is wonderful. Our Saturday swim program is wildly successful. And I also have to say, I actually went to the swim meet today. It was senior day over the girls had senior night, and it was terrific. They actually have, I believe, won 4 meets this year. So our program is improving tremendously.
Mr. Wilson, I just wanted to add that with so much going on, we had the chance to meet with our public relations team this week, earlier on this week, you, myself, and Ms. O'Connor. So we are hoping to be able to put all of these things that are happening into an additional kind of community update so that the community is aware of and they see, in this, this kind of new bulletin. I think that we agreed on to 4 different editions of this, in addition to our regular newsletter, updating the community in terms of what it is that we've been able to accomplish. And, here we are a few months after, this windfall, and we have already completed some of these projects. We are really, really looking forward to sharing these accomplishments with the community. Got to give us a little bit of a chance. I believe that they're going to have their first meeting in the beginning of next week in terms of how to roll out this information. And we're hoping to have an update sometime sent out to the community sometime in December with everything that was done since July 1st forward. A lot of stuff going on. Ms. Ortiz, I just wanted to add, so that $1.6 million, I've come around this building multiple times. We are restructuring the offices and how we are doing business here, creating efficiencies. Mr. Lochner, Ms. O'Connor, and I have talked about these things. You know that we are hoping to give you more space in the registration department so that dream of your family center will continue to prosper. And I think that, hopefully in the next few months, we'll be able to do that.
Yeah, we'll be moving some departments around. Apartments, yeah. We might as well, right? We might as well take apartments here. What the heck?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, no, we're going to be moving some departments around, and we're really excited about
Yeah.
that. We've done tremendous, I want to thank B&G. They do
Absolutely.
tremendous work, and actually Ms. Young's office, which I really want to commend her as well, because she was committed to changing that building around, because she also felt that, when parents and students come into that building and, they're there for a meeting, I think it's important that they feel welcomed. They're in a building that looks professional, clean, and unfortunately, it kind of got away from us over the years. So Ms. Young came in and, in combination with Buildings and Ground, has transformed it. It's actually really a beautiful space now, something that we can be proud of. And when parents and families go in there for a committee meeting, for example, they can feel proud of that space when they enter and when they leave. So.
And in all fairness to everybody who does a wonderful job, B&G, the custodians, quite honestly, we just never really had the money to do some of the things that we're talking about. And that is, no longer the case. And I hope that, we can continue to build on that. Leaving this district and this community in such better shape for, decades to come. So with that being said,
Mr. Feliciano, I'm sorry, can we just go back to the teachers that were recognized by Assemblyman Phil Raymond?
Yes.
I do have their names, I just.
Oh, absolutely.
We should
Please
say
read
their
them,
names.
yes.
Okay.
please.
I don't know all of the buildings, so, but Elizabeth Mantione and Scott Murray, they work at Southwest Elementary.
At Southwest Elementary,
Yes,
yeah.
and Elizabeth is a special education teacher, I'm not sure if Scott is. but
They actually co-teach
They
together.
co-teach, okay. And then Barbara Sembrisky? Okay. Twin Pines, teacher at Twin Pines, Diane Fensterer is East Middle. Mark Stuhnbarak, I know he's a freshman.
He's freshman
center.
center math.
And Nicole Bowden, who I believe is in high school.
Math at the high school.
Math at the high school.
All right.
Thank you for having those names. Okay.
Could we please add that we had there were two special guests there?
Yes.
One was the Chancellor of Regent, Dr. Lester Young, and I guess it would be our Area 10
Yeah,
representative.
he's our
Roger-
area regent.
Roger Tillis was there, so we had the top people to come there to recognize our teachers as well as those from the other couple of school districts.
Thank you. Thank you for that. So we are going to get to community comments. The first person that I have, first name before me is Mr. Rodley Borgella. If he is here, please step up.
Hello, how's everybody doing?
Hello.
Good.
Welcome.
My name is Bradley Borgella, and I'm a parent. My daughter attends the high school by Leahy Avenue. Anyway, my presence here is because of a letter that I wrote to several members of the neighborhood and to this board as well. Why? Because teachers, the principals, or the principal, were driving recklessly in the neighborhood. So I wrote the letter and I saw some change. That's positive, I like that. But that's not enough. The schoolyard is wide open and people are still flying in and out. Teachers are flying in and out. Commercial vehicles are flying in and out, and parents are flying in and out. So we need to do more.
We get speed bumps put in?
Yeah, we did, Mr. Borgella. We actually put in a speed bump. Did you see? I'm sure you saw that because it's right down from your house.
That's
right in
what I
the front.
just said.
Right. And we also put in, we also have several stop signs as well.
Oh, can I stop you there?
What's that?
Can I stop you there?
Sure.
In good conscience, once they go over the hump or over the bump, they speed up. So that's not enough.
No, not Leahy. He's talking about East Middle
You
School.
just said the freshman center.
No, his
My daughter goes there.
daughter goes to the freshman center.
Oh, okay.
But I live next to that
East
school.
Middle.
Yeah. So teachers are driving recklessly. The principal is driving recklessly. I'm not naming names. Don't get me wrong. So this board has to know.
Mr. Borgella, I've actually gone over there, met with the principal. He's actually spoken to his faculty about this, because, you bring up a valid concern. We did put in the speed bump. Our intention is to put in additional ones.
Thank you.
Yeah, as you know, we were putting in the solar panels at East Middle School, and that required an incredible amount of construction. You've
I do
seen East
understand
Middle.
that.
So our intention is to put in additional, I think these solar panels might be complete now, so we can actually start looking at
It
putting in
looks like
additional.
they are.
So we'll put in additional speed bumps, that's our intention. And I appreciate you always bringing that to our attention.
Thank you. And it looks like we need at least 4 or 5 of them on each side of the road, because it's a wide open area. And they've been flying in, flying out. Going back to the first bump, the one that was installed last week.
2 or 3 weeks ago, yeah.
Okay.
Very recently.
And there's a full stop right after that. And guess what? no one is stopping. And between the time, I would say between 7:40 to 7:50, nobody's stopping because school starts like around 8 o'clock or 7:55. They just like fly in or flew in.
Can you get their license plate?
Too many of them. I'm glad you said that. We need real human body, human flesh standing there.
Serious?
I think we have security. I think we have 2 guards there now, if I'm not mistaken. But I tell you what, Mr. Borgella, we are working on that. We have the one that was just installed. I'll ensure that more are installed and that we also have security there.
Okay, if I may add, I think the principal needs to have a serious talk with the staff and teachers almost every day, reminding them about speeding because we have precious lives in the neighborhood.
Sure.
We're talking about kids. We're talking about underage kids that play. Matter of fact, I don't even let my daughter play outside. Why? Because a car recklessly went into our property and almost hit the house. That's how crazy this thing has
Right.
been.
I know, and you know what? We have worked on it. The principal has spoken to his staff, as I mentioned. I've actually been over there. I didn't actually witness what you did. I don't know if it happens every day. I didn't see it when I was there because I actually did go over a couple of times myself. But I tell you what, we're going to continue to put those in there.
The
Okay.
slowest they
The
go
speed.
is 40 to 50 miles an hour.
Okay. All right.
So,
Well,
you know they're flying.
So are you talking about the actual street or the parking lot?
the parking lot.
Because you could.
Oh, from the parking lot to the actual street.
He's talking about the actual street.
From the parking lot, matter of fact, from the parking lot is even faster.
No, I think I think you mean the parking lot, right?
No,
Speeding
from the
event.
parking lot is about 60. Once they get into
He's not talking
my street, my neighborhood, they stay flying at 50, 60 miles an hour.
Oh, wait, are you talking on the street outside?
Both.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
It's stir crazy, sir.
Have you contacted the town to see?
Matter of fact, let me tell you, back in June, I was pulling out of my parking space, and a teacher almost hit me. And I followed her into the school, and she went off. That's what brought this whole thing out here in the open. So when I followed her, she started screaming, so I left. And then the principal sent an officer to arrest me. So that's what brought this whole thing out. So the onus is on them, or the principal.
Right.
And that's fair enough. And that's fair enough. I mean, you know, the fact is, you know, we have all of those areas covered by cameras. And, you know, if there is a specific incident with a date and time, we could look at the camera, you could estimate what the speed is, and you could find out who it is. Yep,
Yeah.
Right.
yep. Yep.
Speed limit on school grounds is 5 miles an hour. I mean, there's no two way about it. It's 5 miles an hour.
Yep.
How can you
Yep.
be speeding? And you're also a principal and you're speeding?
So that's a very good point, you know, maybe, you know, adding some signs that say what the speed limit is to some of those
They're
solar
actually there.
signs that we've put up, so that it's kind of like an awareness campaign, here it is.
Well, the neighborhood is watching.
Okay,
The neighborhood is watching very closely. And something else, some of the signs are very old, decrepit, they need to be replaced. Some of them, you can't even read what's written on them.
Okay.
And I mean, on all four streets adjacent going onto the school. Some of the signs you need to repeat. Oh, before I leave, one other thing. There's one sign that says 20 miles per hour going into the school, and then coming out, it says 30 miles.
Is that on, I'm sorry, Mr. Borgella, is that on the campus? I don't
No.
recall that. Is that-
Neighborhood street going onto
Oh,
the school.
The neighborhood, okay. Yeah, that one I'll have to call the town about, you know, because that's obviously a town street. We don't have jurisdiction over that, but I could certainly talk to them.
But shouldn't it be a concern of yours too?
Yeah, well, this is the first I'm hearing that it's 20 and 30 miles an hour.
I believe it's Woodline, Wood something street. It's right before or right after
Hilltop.
Okay. He says it's Westwood.
Yeah, it is, I'm very familiar with all of those blocks.
I'm pretty sure you do.
Right,
I
that
mean,
are perpendicular.
You turn onto that street, it says 20 miles per hour. And you go into the school, about 10 to 15 feet coming out of the school, it says 30 miles an hour.
Right, yeah, that's crazy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you too. I'm so happy that I have been able to air my grievances. Seriously.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Borgel.
Can we start by adding more speed bumps?
Well, no, that's what.
That would be a start, at
Well,
least.
right, we did, that was our intention, but like I said, we had
Right.
major trucks in and out of there over the last year,
Right.
putting the solar panels in. So we actually wanted to, but they said really not to do that till that construction was done. So we'll actually have a few, and we can even put the temporary ones in there.
Can the town add speed bumps on the
Well,
street?
the town has to take a look at that speed limit. That's kind of crazy, 20 and 30 miles an hour. I didn't, never noticed that.
Okay, the next speaker, Mr. Joe Fritz.
Joe Fritz, Brentwood resident. I'd just like to start off with a proverb which shouts the praises to our new individuals from Brentwood schools. A man's reach should exceed his grasp, else what's the heavens for? And I give that to Miss Ortiz especially because when a $100,000 grant morphs to a $1 million, that speaks volumes, and I congratulate you. Superintendent and the members of the board, last month I spoke and mentioned to the board to act wisely in spending the newfound monies by the federal government and state government. I asked the board that they were required to provide a written plan of how they intend to improve the school district. Every school district in New York State is required to do this. Because many school districts fail to comply with this regulation is not an excuse for our school district to fail to have a plan. Superintendent Lochner went on a tangent extolling as to what had been done to our district and where to find it on the school board website. But no written plan is in place. When I was in the school board, we had a lackluster superintendent and he was paid to retire. Well, I'm not suggesting that we do this. What I do suggest is that Superintendent Lochner and his cabinet spend an amount of time to put together a plan of improvement and not just a spending plan with few objectives. We need a plan which would go forward for at least 5 years to bring the Brentwood schools to be able to intellectually compete with our Long Island districts. For example, the Science Olympiad, we need a grant to provide the person in charge with adequate resources to compete with other schools. This was done in 2005. Why harness our students with little or no resources to compete against other more affluent school districts in Long Island? In 2005, Donna Jones brought in talent from Columbia University to provide her team with ideas to bring about improvements. In addition, the students were provided with a plethora of new subjects to credit and advanced placement. Now, I see we have advanced placement in place, but it's been severely curtailed since 2008 as a result of the mortgage crisis and has not really been brought up to speed since then. The prior superintendent had pruned the academic subjects so much that it would as if we have a third-class school district. In addition, with monies, we had to be able to provide students with free SAT examinations rather than having them pay them. Lastly, because of the mortgage crunch, the classes were severely cut and have not been, like I said a moment ago, added in years. Last meeting, the superintendent went to explain how monies were to be given, which were given by the federal government, state government, will be spent to improve the physical plant of the school district. While this may seem a good idea, not enough money is being spent to improve student objectives. In 2005, the state provided the school districts with a flood of money to repair the infrastructure. Donna Jones was right up front, and her staff was able to obtain over $100 million worth of these vast improvements. Stacy O'Connor was also part of the team which was able to obtain the funds, and she's to be lauded also. My thoughts is that New York State will, in the near future, will do what it did in 2005, provide a trough of funding to fix the infrastructure. If we fix our schools with the money intended to be used for our students, we will probably forfeit the state funding in the future and be unable to use state monies for infrastructure for enhancing our education. It might be prudent to see if such a program is in the pipeline, or by making an inquiry, or look back into the past to see when prior to 1905 the state provided monies for infrastructure. I will finish and ask for a first goal. What the school district needs to do is to increase the percentage of students graduating in high school. At present, look at the statistics, it's 75%. Why not have 90% in 5 years, which is what most of the town of Islip school districts have? And I think it's an appropriate measure to be looked into. Again, I say, to know and not to do is not to know. Let's move forward. Thank you.
If I can comment on that.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Fritz. So I just have to, I thank you for always sharing your thoughts, and I know that you are incredibly sincere about trying to move this community forward, but I have to, disagree with some of the things that you have brought up here. First, I know that the written plan was put on our website. I want to say that 2 days after our last board meeting, maybe even the following day.
No, it was actually already on it. We actually moved it to a more prominent area on the website.
And I think that it may have been an amended version that seems
Well, no,
to be-
that was the presentation at Dr. Leone, and that was a broad overview.
Okay.
But we have a very detailed plan, okay, that we submitted to the state, and it will, actually, I can get you the plan. Do any of the assistant soups have it on you?
Dr. Lotion, your own email address is not even on the website, so you have to almost guess it as a call up to get it. So I think it would be appropriate to start there. I know all the other individuals on the board have their email addresses, and I see no reason as to why the most common.
This is the first I've heard that. I actually thought it was on, when we migrated to it.
And I thought so too. But listen, so this is, what I'm saying is that I do believe the written plan is out there. As a matter of fact, I know it is.
No, and every single facet of this organization has been addressed. Academics, when we talk about some of the structural improvements, that's only a minor part. I think I have mentioned, quite frequently about all of the academic focus. Believe me, that's what we're about. As you know, the freshman center currently went to a 9-period day. Our goal is to migrate to a 9-period day. Actually, the Board of Education is committed to that next year. We're putting together a plan with the high school administration to add some extremely vibrant electives, which we added to the freshman center this year. To insinuate that we don't have a plan is really, it's outrageous, because we have an incredibly detailed plan. That's number one. Number two, there was some things about the PSATs and SATs. We actually did pay for, this board 3 years ago was committed to paying for the SAT and PSATs. We could not do it last year because of COVID, and we could not do it this year for the same reason. So I'm certain next year, when we do move towards, obviously, hopefully a new norm, back to normal, that the board, and I'm sure they will, they'll be committed to paying for the PSATs and the SATs, not just the PSATs. We had that opportunity for 10th through 12th graders. The AP, I'm not sure where the information is being gleaned from, but we have just as many AP courses as we've ever had. We've actually added some in recent years, and we're continuing to add some. We're looking at some computer courses, C++, Java, some coding. So we've actually added AP courses. We haven't reduced them over the last few years. That was, we actually were committed as an organization not to cut those courses. And we'll continue to add AP courses. As we have, as already mentioned, we've added college courses. We've, done, I think, an outstanding job academically. Also, the graduation requirement, if I could just talk about that, that is a number that we are focused on as well. But you have to know that we are an incredibly unique district. Ms. Ortiz just alluded to, quite a few immigrant families that, as I've mentioned many, many times here, we will welcome and love every student who arrives at our door. And we do a tremendous job with those students. However, the reality is when you have a 17 or 18-year-old student arrive to this district, we will do incredible work with those students. They will learn English, they will experience high school, they will grow individually, they will grow socially. I guarantee you they will leave with language acquisition second to any other school district. However, many of them will not leave with a degree. And unfortunately, they will be counted in Brentwood's numbers. I'm not giving that as an excuse. It's an explanation, and it's a valid explanation. So anybody who has lived in this district for a long, long period of time should understand that. There are other litmus tests to apply to this district. I would encourage you not to apply that number. I'm not shying away from it. But I will tell you that's something that the high school focuses on. It's something that we focus on tremendously. And we do our darndest to make it happen. However, we're kind of fighting an uphill battle. And I wish, rather than looking at the 4-year graduation rate, which is a 75%, in the 5th and 6th year graduation rate, we get into the mid and high 80s. And that's outstanding. Unfortunately, the district doesn't recognize that. But we as a community should recognize it and celebrate it. So that's just mine.
Yeah, there was just, I'm looking at the letter. I was fortunate enough to get this beforehand. So I was also wanted to comment on the idea that we would be using money inappropriately. So I think that one of the things that Mr. Fritz said is that, the possibility that we would be using academic educational dollars for infrastructure, and that's just nowhere near what it is that we are doing or plan to do. Again, I think that you gave tremendous accolade to Ms. O'Connor. I think it's very well deserving. She is still here with us, and her integrity is just, I think, second to none in terms of, how to appropriate this money and how to maximize our dollars. I happen to sit on the audit committee. I'm chair of that committee along with Ms. Trustee Holder Daniel. So we talk about these things in that committee, and we've mentioned this in this meeting or meetings like this many times before. Ms. O'Connor's expertise is incredible, but there's a fundamental piece that I think is easily understood. We are matching our infrastructure dollars with building aid so that we can, take advantage of what it is that the state is offering. I mean, Ms. O'Connor, do you want to expand? I think that you can finish my thought process here.
Sure. What you brought up was our Excel project years ago where we received, it was close to 14 million, I believe, in Excel aid, and we we used that as the community portion of a bond issue, and we were able to do $100 million worth of work throughout the school district. So it was just a tremendous gain for the district, and we really were in need with the infrastructure. We're looking to do that same thing moving forward. We found out about the increase in foundation aid a little bit late in the game, so we weren't able quite to capitalize on that this year. But we do have our, actually, our transfer to capital fund will generate building aid. But we couldn't expand that like we did into a lot more projects right now. But we'll get aid on that for 15 years to come, and it's not going to come out of the community's pocket because we have it out of the foundation aid. But what we're also doing to kind of mimic that Excel aid project that we did is we have a capital reserve. We had 1.5 million in it prior to this year. We put another $3 million into it. So that's the money that we could really plan out and get proper authority from the board and from the community to borrow, and we could expand that into probably a $40 million project at this time. And we could decide, moving forward, do we want to replenish that so we can kind of do this again? So we're really looking to maximize every dollar that we have. In terms of the federal aid, there are certain percentages of funds that have to be used towards different academic areas. We are certainly hitting those percentages, and we're actually exceeding them in what we're putting in towards the academic side of the district. And we're also taking care of some infrastructure things as well, like the ventilation for the school buildings.
Yeah, that's the point I wanted to make, that, they didn't just send us this money and say, here, go with it. They actually assigned percentages to different components of a school district. And the expectation is that you stay within that percentage. And we've been very, very careful as we allocate monies to improvements throughout the district, both academically. They also, obviously, they identified social emotional learning. The district has done a tremendous job in hiring and targeting that particular part of it. Mental health, obviously, is something we've been concerned about ever since the pandemic hit. The federal monies identified that a certain percentage had to be targeted towards that. We're doing that. There are other allocations that they were very specific about. Dr. Leone, along with the assistant superintendents and myself, we actually very carefully went through the percentages and we stuck to it. We also got, obviously quite a few people, other, leaders in the district came together, and we put together, I think, an outstanding plan for the next few years. And it will be allocated specifically as required by the federal government.
And I just want to clarify something. I actually just want to amplify something that Ms. O'Connor just said. So back in 2004, that money that was matched by the community was actually borrowed money. So it was a bond that needed to be paid back by the taxpayers. So this time around, we don't have that liability. So it is going to be, hopefully $100 million worth of improvements with zero cost to the taxpayer, which is wonderful news for everyone in this community. That's the kind of angle that we are playing, and that I believe is absolutely without a doubt obtainable. So here we're going to really, and I said this just a little earlier today, really try to make an effort to set this community and this district up for the next 30 years at zero cost to the taxpayers. And I believe that we have the expertise, I believe that we have the commitment from this board, and I believe that we have, truly have the ability to get this done for this community. And I'm just incredibly excited. I know that all the board members are as well as the central administrators.
If I could just also say, Mr. Feliciano, that actually we were moving that way prior to this year's additional funding from the federal government. Stacy and I in particular have had quite a few conversations over the last 5 years, and we actually opened up we actually found the 1.5 million now 2 years ago. We put it into a separate fund with the anticipation of building that over the years and eventually turning, as Ms. O'Connor said, maybe 3, 4, 5 million into something like 30, 40 million. So even prior to this financial to this windfall, so to speak, we were actually preparing. We figured our belts would have to be tightened. We didn't know where foundation aid was going, and we were committed to that 2 or 3 years ago. So it's really kind of a win-win.
Yeah. Mr. Fritz, I don't want to disrespect you. I don't want to diminish anything that you said. You are more than welcome to continue to ask the questions, to look for the details. But I can sincerely tell you that I believe that we are in a really, really good road to obtaining the goals that you've outlined here at the last 3 or 4 board meetings. So thank you for always trying to keep us on point. Our next community comment from Ms. Oyola, Carmen Oyola.
I know I'm not going into the details of the negotiation, but all I'm going to say, CSEA is not even looking at the extra money the district got, where it's going, what have you. Based on the surpluses every year, you can give us decent increases. And right now, again, there are 81 positions open. A TA is better off working for Amazon. She'll get $20 an hour and benefits. We get vision and prescriptions. Wow, for all the knowledge and education they must obtain. So, and we are supposed to start negotiation in January. We started in July, and the first 2 meetings are housekeeping. Listen, you want to get down to the nitty-gritty, forget about housekeeping. There's not much in our current talk in the first place to keep. So let's go down to the numbers. Let's make this short and sweet and do the numbers and forget housekeeping. That being said, my second comment is on the students that we're accepting that should and would benefit from going to BOCES, DDI, any of those other programs. Yes, I agree, the transportation cuts, and it's better. You want a shorter ride for a student. I get it. But we cannot, whether we may want to, but we don't have the facilities to proper serve these students. Right now, you have some that are in diapers. There are no rooms or cots to change this child. They're changed standing up. There's not a big sink if they need to just get washed and feel fresh again. Why are we doing this? It's not fair to the child. As a parent advocate for children with needs, we don't have the facilities, the staffs are not properly trained, and no, we give them minimal services. For example, a child who is nonverbal, we give them speech twice a week. Excuse me, that's a little Band-Aid. What are you doing? Twice a week? They don't speak. They can use speech every day. Why are we not giving it? No, because it costs money. I'm sorry, we don't have the facilities. We gotta stop this. This is not to bring down the cost of both, no, at their education and their expense. Not right, not fair. So please look into that, and we have more than students that are here that should not be. When I found out 2 years ago that a teacher used a cabinet to block her door because one of her students was a runner, that's a safety issue. And I take heart in that because my 2 youngest grandsons are autistic. And when they say runners, they're runners. They're gone with the blink of an eye. And this is what this teacher had to do in order to secure the safety of that child. They are entitled to an education. You'd be surprised what some of them learn and come out with. But we may want to do it here, we just can't. We don't have it to do here. And the last is the Saturday Academy. Now, most of the TAs are now 6 hours, but on that Saturday Academy posting, there's 2 positions for TAs. it states the TA cannot exceed 30 hours a week. Why? We're part-time employees. Why can't they exceed 30, you know, if they're doing 6 now, that means you're not gonna get many TAs to volunteer because they're already making 6 hours, so they have 30 hours a week. Why are we limited to 30?
It's something that we'll have to consider, we'll have to talk about.
Yeah. And the last, we got money, maybe we need to do a bucket, and when people have meetings here and there, put money in it. Can we fix that little school? That's an eyesore. We had money for that years ago. It was spent on something else, and it's an eyesore. By the time we get to attend it, we're gonna be like that. You're gonna be able to blow it, and there it goes.
That is-
Exactly.
That's certainly one of the things that we're considering, but that is not the priority right now.
Well, yeah, I understand
But
that.
it's certainly on the list for
Well,
us to
it's
consider.
been like that for
Yes.
years. It's
No,
gonna
thank
blow
you.
one of these days, and one of those storms that we keep getting, it's gonna be gone, and we don't have to worry about it.
So, Ms. Ayala, please have a seat, I just wanted to comment, so just breaking this down, in terms of the CSEA contract negotiations and everything that you stated, we hear you loud and clearly. Just know that this board is committed to fair contract negotiations, and I believe that the last time we were at the bargaining table, I believe that everybody in the unit, for the most part, walked away pretty pleased with what we were able to do.
No, well, I was part of that board, and it
Well-
was not. And Mr. Feliciano, when you were first running for a seat on the school board, I was at your fundraiser, and you came up to all 5 of us and said, no, we're going to fight for fair salary. And to this day, that has not taken place. I'm sorry.
Again, so when we were at the bargaining table, I do believe that at least the majority was pretty pleased with what we were able to bring to the table. Maybe not everybody, okay. In terms of the issues with some of the students, some of the special ed students that you're talking about, I invite you to please reach out to Ms. Young. If you have details that you can share with her privately in terms of what some of your concerns are, I have every confidence that we have an incredible administrator overseeing that entire department, and if there's anything that she can improve upon, she will. So please,
I have spoken.
Please- please have-
The openings, and we discussed, and
please continue to have those conversations with her. That would be,
response to that
I would say that. Yeah,
let the parents know that there's no one-on-one aid for that child, see how they feel.
so,
Can I respond, please? I have worked very hard to address the needs of students with special needs. Across the country, kids, all across the country.
Ms. Young, you know what, I mean, come to the microphone because I think that might be a message that's worth sharing with the entire community.
All across the country, children are behind. Children are nonverbal. We have to give our kids time. We cannot send all these kids to BOCES. Our students have a right to be educated in the least restrictive environment. And I don't agree with you respectfully. I think that we have a very good committee of special education. When there is an issue, there are procedures in place. We review those students. If they need additional services, we give them to them. We have over 300 kids in our program that go to out-of-district placements. If a student has significant needs, eventually there will be a request for a CSE meeting, and we will address those needs. And I think our department does a really good job at that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Young.
Also, yes, thank you. Ms. Young is really just a fantastic leader of the special services. And I just would like to reiterate, too, to make it, make a point, to make it clear that at no time do we ever discuss the cost of a service for a student. So we would never reduce services that we believe a student is entitled to because of money. And I will tell you that there are lots of districts that do that. That is never, ever, ever spoken about by Ms. Young, any one of her staff members. They take the committees quite seriously. And I just want to make that point. And I think what Ms. Young said is really something that she believes in, and sort of the rest of us. You know, when we returned from the pandemic this year, we talked about it all last year. We all knew that when the kids came back full-time, that they would be in a tough way, and that it might be a few months to really get back to where they should be. Well, guess what? We're in it right now. It's actually, I don't want to say worse, but there are kids with, you know, very strong needs, and deep and you know, needs that we really have to address. But as Ms. Young said, we have to give it time, because it's only October, and many of them have just come back to school full-time for the first time in a year and a half. And there is an adjustment period. And, you know, there has been, you heard us speak across the country about regressing in terms of learning. Well, there's quite a bit of regressing here in Brentwood and across the country, and you have to give us time to address it. I think our teachers are doing a remarkable job addressing the needs of students, which is, as I said, you know, there are, you know, lots of kids who have fallen behind. And I'm talking, you know, some of our special need kids all the way up to our AP kids who are behind. And we need some understanding and some time to bring them all back to where they should be.
Thank you very much. I would like to call the following as a group: Jennifer Orellana, Fernando Sanchez, Melina Santos, and if possible, Christine Loeffler Taylor. They all have a common topic concern. So if we could bring you all up.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. My name is Melina.
If you could all introduce yourselves, that would be great.
My name is Jennifer Oriana.
My name is Fernando Sanchez.
My name is Christine Loeffler Taylor.
You guys are not familiar with me. Mr. Lotion
I am.
is.
Yeah,
he
sure.
knows me from the high school. Most teachers do and administrators. I was always there to help. But I do need to say I owe this to Mr. Coleman because, I'm sorry. I was a troublemaker, like middle school, elementary school. I've been in Brentwood District for 9 years now, ever since I came from my country. I started at Laurel Elementary School. When I got to the high school, I had my first fight in 9th grade, and I had to deal with Mr. Manchester. Most of you know Mr. Manchester. He retired like 3 years ago. And Mr. Manchester was a man that everybody was like, I hate him. He had the trifecta, which was no ID, hat, and your headphones, which are all against the school rules. People will be mad. And like, you're mad because you're doing something against the school rules, which is what's going on right now. So we have many students at the high school against Mr. Coleman, and it's actually because they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing at school. Okay. They're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. Mr. Coleman is just doing what he's being told to do, enforce the rules. I was in school for 4 years at the high school, and 2 of those years I had to deal with Mr. Coleman, 11th and 12th grade. That man was there for everything I needed. He supported me through high school, and I called him my dad. He was my school dad. Everybody knows that. You can ask anyone, and anyone can tell you that. Mr. Coleman got me my first job. I worked for his friend at his insurance company. And why was that? He was like, Melina is well skilled. She knows Spanish. She knows English. She could really help your customers. So it was nice for someone like that to put a word in for me to get me my first job. I also worked in Five Corners for about 4 months. So I experienced daily what students do. They come in, they yell at Miss Marisol, which is the secretary in Five Corners, They yell at Mr. Coleman because they're mad. They don't want to be in there, but they're doing everything to be put in there. They fail to go to detentions. I assess. So when you try to discipline a kid being in detention and they don't go, you're going to be mad. Because now you're trying to enforce the rules for the high school to be a better place for other students, and they're not doing it. They're just not going. So they're also saying he's racist. Mr. Coleman could never be racist. And I know that because he will always try to make everybody feel welcome and fit in. So I had many experiences where Spanish parents come in, they don't know the language, they can't understand what's being said about their kid. So since I was there, he would ask me to translate. Those kids actually went home and told their parents something totally different from what was going on at school. They come in and they're like, well, my kid told me this, my kid told me that. And I'm like, no, here's the proof of what your kid is doing. Your kid is cutting class, smoking in the bathrooms, and doing everything that is not supposed to be done for the school. So, with that being said, I think Mr. Coleman is a great administrative person at the high school and someone you don't want to miss in there. You know what he did for me? I was one of the students elected to be part of the Prosper program. I don't know if it's still in school.
It's still there, Emily.
It's still there?
I remember when you
Okay,
started.
I was part of the students that were elected, and Mr. Coleman was like, you earned this. You did this for yourself. So you know what he did? He came with me and another student to Suffolk Community College on the bus, just so he made sure that was the right place for us, that we were supposed to be where we needed to be at. He didn't need to do that. It wasn't his job requirement, but he wanted to be there for us because it was an important step. Until this day, I graduated 2 years ago. Until this day, I'm very grateful because I'm still in contact with those people, and those people help me, like in my daily life. Even with him, he was one of the first people I told, oh, I enrolled in school. I wasn't gonna do college. My parents were like, you need to do it. I asked him, he's like, it's gonna help you. He gave me all the details, why it's gonna help me, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do it. But he didn't think I was actually gonna go through with it, but he was there to support me. He was the first person I told, I just applied and I got accepted. He's like, I'm so glad. So with that being said, I think it's great for students to have that kind of support because he was there for me when no guidance counselor was there for me. He was there for me when I needed someone, and that's who you need to have at the high school. You don't need teachers telling you, oh no, this kid can't come in my class. You need teachers telling you, I'm gonna give him an opportunity to come in and learn because that's what the school is there for. You don't need all those extra things. You need them to support the students to want to come in into an environment that they are welcome in. And that's what really needs to be for Brentwood High School. That's what's it.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Oriana. I'm speaking on behalf of Mr. Coleman too. So to talk a little bit about Melina, I was one of those kids. I wouldn't go to detention. I would get written up a lot, stuff like that. And like, no one wants to get in trouble. So like when you're enforced to get, you're given detention, you cut, you do. He was Mr. Coleman became like a very close friend of mine. He helped me out through high school so much. I was never a school person. It wasn't because I didn't like what I did. I loved English. I just didn't agree with what my teachers would teach me. I just never thought it was something I needed. And he helped me like learn that I really like whatever they showed me is what I needed. I would learn more from what they could show me, even if I thought I didn't need it. And he would help me through so much, even if I didn't want to attend classes. He would not force me, but help me like know that I needed to do better, be a better student, be a better person. Mr. Coleman has been an amazing friend, teacher, administrator. He's always made sure that I was well. My mother developed cancer when I was in high school, and I know Mr. Coleman went through so much with his wife, his father. He was always there to make sure that he was there for me for everything that my mother was going through, and he made sure to check up on me, check up on my mom. We always were there for each other when he needed us. Mr. Coleman has always thought about the students as his own kids. So whenever it's like discipline, he always thinks of bettering the kids. He's never thought of, okay, so I'm gonna do this just to make their life like worse. It's always to better them. And Mr. Coleman, he's a very amazing teacher. He's done so much for us. There's been times, my 11th grade year, I filled up my schedule to try to like leave school early because I hated being there. And he was one of the reasons like I liked being there. I helped him out. I stayed after school. Like there was times I wouldn't eat because I didn't get lunch, and my teachers wouldn't let me get lunch for their classes. And he would buy us pizza at the end of the day and gather students and just let us eat in his room. Like he would buy it for us, wouldn't even offer. He would just say, "Here, you guys can go get some pizza. Go like have fun, get some sodas, anything." There was even a point in time where he even got a mini fridge in his room so we could just get food whenever we wanted, because he knew that sometimes there wasn't time for us to eat lunch. So I want to thank Coleman so much, even though he's not here. I hope that he's watching, that he knows that like I'm also thankful for everything he's done for me. He helped me pass high school. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have graduated, sadly, but I'm thankful for him for helping me graduate. He's one of the reasons I can say right now that I have a good job. I'm on a good road to life, doing what I want to do, and I just want to say I'm very thankful for him. I hope he's watching today, and I just want you guys to listen to us and know that you're missing out on a very good person. I hope you guys listen and reinstate him back to his position in Five Corners. He's very helpful. He's gonna lead us to a better path. He has all of us students for 2020. I graduated 2020. He's helped all of us, and there's so many other people that say the same thing, that if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't be where we're at. So yeah, I want to say thank you to Mr. Coleman. Hopefully he's watching.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Fernando Sanchez. I know Mama Calderon, Mr. Losner. I've known Coleman for a really long time. My uncle, I think he knew him since elementary, so they were close. He introduced me to Mr. Coleman. Me and him kicked it off right away. I used to be special ed, level 4, right before BOCES. I used to be in there. Now, I'm a graduate. I almost didn't even graduate 2021. Mr. Coleman, I told him, because I didn't want to do any of the computer services or whatever. I told him, I was like, man, I think I'm going to drop out. I don't want to do this. He told me, no, you have to do it. You have to graduate. He motivated me to do what I had to do and to graduate. Mr. Coleman is like family to me. He was there the day my father got deported. He was the first person I told. It was right before, it was the day of a wrestling award ceremony. It was the first day. I called my father. They told me that he was deported. I didn't tell anybody. My family knew. I told Coleman. He was the first one. He was like, I'll be there for you. And he was. He was always there for me. Even when I didn't go to class like them, he was always there. He would always check our schedules at the end of the day to see if we went to class. And if we didn't, he'd be like, come on, you got to get that straight. You have to go to class. Yeah, I went to, Coleman is like family to me. I went to his father's wake when his father sadly passed away. He was there for me, so I was there for him. He's just like family. He motivates everybody. Yes, he can, what's he called? He is assertive with the rules, but those are the rules that the kids have to learn. I used to get in arguments with him because of the rules, because I didn't want to follow them. But he would stay there and tell me that you have to follow the rules. He was only doing his job. So like what they said, he's a great administrator. We all love Mr. Coleman. He's a great person to be in Brentwood. He's a Brentwood alumni, like I know you guys are. And he's just all around a great guy. He's always there for the kids. He's always helped us out. He's just Mr. Coleman. Thank you.
I'd like to thank the board and introduce myself. My name is Christine Loeffler Taylor. I am a parent, a resident. I'm the daughter, granddaughter of long-time Brentwood residents. The Legion Hall is named after my family. We have a street on Grand Boulevard named after us. My dad grew up in the house that's Casa Vieja now, and there was nothing between him and Grant's, but our family's property. Now it's become the library, the rec center, the fire department. And the reason I'm expressing that is because this is not just, I'm not just stepping into this in a position where I feel that I just have, a few years invested in this place. I have all my cousins, all my family members. My uncle is the chief of the fire department. And I had a lot of bad experiences with my children. My children saw death at a very young age. They experienced a loss in a horrible accident where they saw their uncle and their father die. They have been through horrible conditions, and I'm not making excuses for any of them, but my kids would have been labeled as bad kids. My kids were disciplinary problems. My kids fought the system. My kid fought rules. I worked as hard as I could as a mother. And when I tell you that there is no man like what Ed Coleman has done for my kids, I do give the other administration a lot of credit. Judy Crawford was a huge help. John Callan was a huge help. I reached out to Mr. Lochner once when it became to a point that I couldn't get into guidance and I couldn't get to anywhere with special services. This man called me back immediately. He made an appointment with me that we had to cancel, and our time ran out. You came into the ninth inning in my situation, but I really do commend you for responding and calling me immediately when you heard my story and you heard what I was going through. My kids were in trouble, and I can honestly say, if it wasn't for Ed Coleman, I would be dealing with 3 high school dropouts right now. And instead, I have 3 graduates, 2 Regents graduates, 2 kids who special services failed. I fought for special services for my kids for their emotional issues and one of them having health issues. I have it documented. I handed out packets to everybody. The back of my packets have some personal information about me and my family and my struggles that I went through to get my kids the help that they needed. And my son graduated before his 504 plan went through. It's unacceptable. I hit hurdles and I went through obstacles, and it was ridiculous. And while I never thought I'd see the day that my kids would go to college and be successful, and they are, and I'm proud of my kids. But if it wasn't for Mr. Coleman, my kids would not be where they are today. And with a strong passion and with a strong, I can't say enough, when I found out what was done to Mr. Coleman and that he was removed from the position that he is in, my heart broke for the kids in this school. Because if that's happened when my kids were in 10th grade, I can tell you right now, my kids would not have made it out of this district and graduated. I am so proud of my boys, and I'm proud of everything they've gone through, but I can't say that I did it alone, and I can't say that they did it alone. It was a joint effort with everybody, and Mr. Coleman was a huge part of that. He never let them down. He always gave them a safe haven, always gave them a place to talk, always tried to understand when guidance failed them, when teachers failed them, when they had struggles that were real. And I'm not saying they're angels. I'm not backing my children in that way. I'm saying that I'm grateful for the help that was provided to my children by the assistant principal and the administration of this school. And it saddens me that it has changed, and the kids that are in this school right now are not going to benefit from this man in the same way that my kids did. And I heard what happened, and I left my job, and I sat in my car, and I cried, and I didn't know what to do. I called my father, who I turned to for everything. He said, start a petition. I started 2 petitions. I started a petition in favor of Mr. Coleman, and I also started a petition against Mr. Coleman. I want to hear what people have to say. I'm not one-sided. I'm not going to sit here and back all kids. I'm not going to say kids are good, bad. This is the job of the district, is to help these kids, even the ones that struggle. The administration is going to see the kids that struggle more than the kids that smooth sail through. That's a given. I have over 250 signatures on the petition for Mr. Coleman. I have 1 signature against him. I have copies of it here today with extra signature pages if anybody wants to sign either one of them. It's an ongoing thing, but I think everybody needs to seriously consider the decisions they're making in removing Mr. Coleman from the building and from the students and the involvement with the students that he has. And I really think that these kids need him. This is unprecedented times. These kids have sat home for 2 years almost, 1.5 years. They are struggling more now than ever on a level that is beyond anything any of us can comprehend. And I am asking the board and the administration to take strong consideration in putting Mr. Coleman back in a position where he can help the kids of this district and make more success stories than failures. Because that's what it is he created success stories out of my children when they were destined to be failures. Thank you.
Well, I want to just
Excuse
thank...
me? Sorry, I just want to add on something if I could. So I also I just want to add on to what they were saying. I also met Mr. Coleman being disciplined. Like I said, my high school wasn't that great, but throughout my whole high school, he disciplined me, and I knew what I was doing was wrong. Not at the moment. I fought with him, like he said. I fought with him to try not to get me in trouble, detention. I said suspend me. Yeah, everything. And there was never once where I fought with Mr. Coleman and he didn't get another teacher in and tell me the same, either like something different. So what was the reasoning? It always was a reason to it, and the teacher always backed him up. There was another disciplinary teacher who always backed him up. So, Miss Tarana?
Yeah, Miss Tarana.
Yeah, there was always someone to back him up. So with whatever's going on today, there's nothing that another teacher didn't back him up on. So I just want to include that, just because it's not only his decision. Whenever he's always done this. I've been in the room when he's disciplined kids. I've been in the room when the kids who have been disciplined have always come back to him just to talk to him. They feel secure with him. They can talk to him, everything. He's a disciplinary, but he's also a friend. There's never been a teacher who hasn't backed him up on whatever he says. So I just want to make that clear, because with whatever's going on, there's always been a teacher there. Always someone who has sided with him. So he shouldn't just be looked on with what's going on. It should be with everybody else, everybody who's disciplined with him. It's never just been his decision to discipline. They've always backed him up on it. So I just wanted to add that.
It's basically he's the go-to person on everything.
One more thing to add, and I don't mean to interrupt you, and I'll stop. I have made promises that I would let this word come through. I have text messages from kids, I have messages from kids, and I have printed for you comments from kids. I just ask that you all take a look at the packet really closely and
If
read.
you could just leave it with the district clerk.
I left one for each of you.
Oh, yes,
So-
okay.
So when you
Yep,
get a
we got
chance,
it.
and I'm not saying right now, I'm just saying, please take a moment and really read what these kids are saying over and over and over. There are multiple kids. I have over 100 kids in the comments and in the phone.
Thank you.
And I will email and text and send you any more messages that you want to hear.
Thank you. So just the only thing that we can say, the only thing I can say as a rebuttal on behalf of the board and the district, this is a personnel matter. We can't comment at all on this, but we are listening to all sides. Of course, fairness is incredibly important. So thank you for coming up.
Thank you. It's appreciated from you guys.
Thank you.
No, absolutely. So there was another here that I didn't know it was part of the same group, but I didn't call this person up. But it is, Dress Code Student Concerns by Miss Nessie Tunstall. I don't know if this is. Oh, well, just, I mean, so if you can come up, and I didn't know if this was part of the same conversation. So I didn't call you up as part of the group, but you're more than welcome to.
So,
If you could just state your name and address, please.
hi guys, good evening. I'm a little bit nervous. This is my first time speaking. I'm sure Mr. Lochner remembers me, maybe
do.
not. My name is Nestle Tunstall. I am a senior at the Brentwood Ross High School Center. So I would just like to address that the whole situation with the dress code has kind of been out of hand these past few months, this year. It has never been an issue, which is absurd because that's telling me that it's not the dress code that's the issue, it's the person who's addressing the dress code. And I know when I spoke to Mr. Callan privately, he was the one who told me, he's like, it's not Mr. Coleman that is addressing the dress code. It's like he sends the people who are getting addressed to a female. But if he's obviously sending the people who are getting addressed to a female, he's obviously looking and his eyes are on the female or on the male, whatever. And he's mainly addressing the females. Well, he was mainly targeting the females. And me as a female with a body or whatever, we felt very much uncomfortable about that. And I even have a couple of friends who actually came to me with their concerns because they were too scared to go to you guys with their concerns because, quote unquote, they would not believe me. Swear to God, that's what she said. And that's not okay for a child, for a student, for a female, for anybody to not be able to be scared to go to an administrator of the fear that they're not going to be believed. That should not be happening. It's evident that there's been a lot of improvements in preparation for today's agenda, but like, why did it take so long, you know? Like, it shouldn't have gotten to this point. I shouldn't be here standing up and talking and addressing this situation. This situation should have already been addressed before there was even a situation to address. And I know I attended one of the meetings that we had at the high school for the dress code. And there were a lot of girls who attended, and it's to show that it's not just one person, it's a lot of people. And I know in regards to these three young fellow students, yeah, I understand that you guys had your good moments with him, or all your moments were good, but that doesn't mean that Mr. Coleman reacted the same with every student. For years, and this is an ongoing issue. And this isn't the first time that I've actually like heard or seen something happening with Mr. Coleman specifically. So yeah, like I understand where you guys are coming from. He helped you through a lot. Great. That's amazing. But there's a lot of students who had negative experiences with him. And it's not okay because now they feel like they are like they're not important. And it's sad. Honestly, it saddens me. And, you know, going back to the dress code, like the females with the school, we all feel targeted and we're wary to come forward and voting our concerns. And another concern that I have regarding to the dress code is who's now chosen to implement this code. I prefer a female, every other female prefers a female. We feel very much comfortable, a female actually looking at a female body and, you know, addressing the code, whereas with Mr. Coleman, it was kind of a bit difficult and, you know, he was just targeting us. And then I hope the next person doesn't put students into like sexual preference. Oh, because, okay, sorry, I'm out of place. I was walking with a female student, right? We were like linking arms. She's my friend. She's a close friend. And he made a comment that kind of offended me, and it kind of offended her as well. He made a comment in regards to what our relationship was. And he said, why are you guys holding, he made a comment. He said, what is this? Why are you guys holding hands? Like, what is going on here? I felt uncomfortable. I went to my mom with that concern, and she said that's not okay because either or, if you do go in that direction, whatever you choose, he shouldn't be saying those things out loud because that's going to target bullying and it's going to, yeah, he yelled it out loud. He really did. He yelled it out loud. There were multiple students around. He yelled it out loud. I'm not sure if this is the first time that he's done something like this, but all I know is that it's the first time that he actually said something to me in regards to that. And that I felt very uncomfortable because I do have friends who, like, who are like that, you know, like, and that's not okay. That's not okay. And
Sexual preference is no one's concern.
yeah,
And that can put a child's situation, that can be their predicament of what they sexual preference. Him yelling that out, or a teacher yelling that
lower
out,
their self-esteem.
can be bullying.
Yeah.
Like, other children comment and, attack children nowadays. That's not okay. A teacher should not be doing that.
If I could I just,
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, I just want to, go ahead, Mr. Lotion.
No, I just want to, just comment on a few things. I really, I kind of feel bad because we're actually mentioning one person and, publicly like this. I do want to comment, first of all, I think, I think the students here are incredibly articulate. I really applaud you for, first of all, having the courage to come to the mic. All of the kids and the adults who have come to the mic, it takes a tremendous amount of courage. And I think, I'm incredibly impressed that such young people can come up and express and be so articulate about what they feel strongly about. I do want to say that, it is kind of, we are speaking about a gentleman that has worked a long time for us. We are aware of everything that you're saying, but I think we might be crossing the line too much if it keeps going on.
Well, actually, I wasn't even going to mention his name, but
Right.
because they mentioned
No, I understand.
his name,
I'm sure you
The
aren't.
one thing I said is do not mention his name.
Right, and I appreciate that, and I'm sure you aren't, and I know we've spoken before, and, and I've heard you speak, and I think you are, you're on target about the dress code. I've spoken to the board about it. We are going to address that at a policy, at the policy level. There are lots of things that we're actually going to remove from the policy, which I think you've probably heard me speak in the auditorium.
Yeah, Mr. Callen actually came to me. He called me down privately,
Right.
and he was discussing some of my other concerns and, trying to figure out what we can do to change it and what is actually going to be changed. And I understood him completely. I voiced out some of my concerns.
He wanted to use
And
you as
he
a
wanted to-
representative for your peers.
Yeah, because he felt that I actually, I'm advocating for people who are too scared to advocate for themselves. So when I first came up here and I said that I'm actually a bit nervous, I am a bit nervous, and this is the reason why a lot of these kids don't come over here, because they feel like their voices aren't going to be heard, that they're just kids, that nobody's going to listen to them. And I'm here for that. I'm here to let whoever you guys know, my fellow peers, that it's okay, and that I'm here to speak out loud for you guys.
Well, I mean, I appreciate that. I'm sure the board does. And for someone who's nervous, it actually doesn't come across that way. And the same with the, the other students and graduates of just a couple of years. I think you've all been incredibly articulate. This is a very serious matter that we're discussing. Now I'm talking about the other item. An extremely serious matter that we're discussing. I will be, speaking with the board. I've already spoke with the board a number of times about this. We'll continue to communicate about it, and we'll make the right decision with everyone's best interest at heart, okay? But in terms of the dress code, I really do applaud the students at the high school, you being one of them, that really, you took this on, and
Yeah,
I
thank you. We
appreciate that.
appreciate that as well.
Things do, as I mentioned, things change over time. And sometimes when you look at things that were developed 30, 40, 50 years ago, it's time to maybe reevaluate. And that's really what you brought to the forefront, and that's exactly what we're going to do. We actually have board members who are part of the policy committee, and they also feel strongly about adjusting this policy to reflect who we are currently. Again, and I appreciate you being here this evening and bring.
I'm sorry, I have a question, mainly for like Carla, why isn't it being addressed that other administrators are dress coding students too? And you guys are only talking about Mr. Coleman? Because I know a couple students are also seniors right now, and they say they get dress coded from Mr. Random, Mr. Wilson in the Southern school, because it's only being addressed from Ross. But we got 2 schools.
Well-
Please don't tell me that all 3,000 students are getting dress coded by Mr. Coleman.
Right, no, it's Melinda, and I appreciate what you're saying, and I know how strongly you feel, the same with Jennifer and Fernando. But it's not just about that. There's other things that are going on, right? It's why we probably,
The reason why.
hang on a second, if we could really not have this conversation anymore, because it's really not fair to the individual we're speaking about. We did want to hear from you, but I think we might have crossed the line, and I don't want to go any further. I'm hearing everything, obviously, the board is hearing everything that's being spoken about, but I think we
Can I
should
just say
move
something
in another direction.
Just a quick little response to what she said, because she asked me a
So
question.
here's the thing about it, and I thank you, Mr. Lochner, for bringing that. So, as I had responded to the first group that came up, this board cannot and will not comment on personnel matters in public. It's just something that we won't do. So we've listened, and I don't believe that we did cross the line in terms of disparaging anybody. We had a group that had accolades, and in all fairness, we allowed for you to speak your mind on behalf of the students over in the high school. What I don't want is, I don't want to now create a division among students in terms of picking sides. I think that,
But
as the leaders.
that has already happened.
Well, okay, and so unfortunately, this is where we are. You have to understand and you have to trust that we are looking at this objectively.
Through both
We're
sides,
we're looking at this fairly.
Yeah, as you should.
Yeah, exactly. So we're listening to all sides, right? We have, attorneys who are specialists in this kind of issue, and ultimately, they are going to be the experts that are going to be advising the board in terms of how to proceed. So really, what I am going to say is we hear you, and we've heard the group prior. The one thing that did resonate with me, and this is not a personnel matter, this is a matter this is a parent matter. We are all parents, we're grandparents here. You, and I'm assuming that you are her mom.
Yeah, she's
Okay, yep.
advocating for
So
me.
one thing,
School to figure out what was going on.
yep.
Every day she was.
Please step up so that we could hear you.
I said I'm her parent, and I went to the high school to speak to Mr. Callen to figure out what was going on, because every single day she was coming home with stories upon stories of this just happened. You were present for a lot of them. And even where we spoke about like lunch, a child, she doesn't have lunch, and even that, like you trying to get lunch and people were getting in trouble just to feed their belly. Just an example. So yeah, I'm here as a parent, concerned, and you're all, if you are a parent, you would be fighting for your child too.
So let's not mention any names as we're having this conversation.
I didn't say any names.
Yeah, no, but what I was going to say was, as parents, for us to hear that we have a child, because they're all children,
Absolutely.
in our school district that's fearful of coming forward.
Yep.
Under any circumstances is not acceptable.
No.
And I'm going to piggyback on a previous community member who made it the point to say that All of our email addresses are available on the district website. And what I mean is all of us in terms of the Board of Education. We represent this community. We are here to represent this community. And what I'm saying is that if there is no satisfaction that way, then we are the last recourse. And I'm telling you that we will have that information as soon as it's given to us. So that's the one thing that I just want to end
Do
with.
you guys normally meet with parents?
No, but here's the thing about it, is that what we do is we bring it to the attention of the superintendent, and there's no doubt, never in my years of working with Miloshner, that he ignores what it is that we are bringing to him.
It's one
So-
thing saying it and there's another thing following through.
And, yes, and this is what I'm saying, is that once it comes to us, I'm just, there is an incident that I think that we haven't brought to Mr. Lotion's attention, and that's really, your recourse, the student's recourse through their parents or by themselves.
Okay.
And that is, it's disturbing to hear, and I just want, you and the students in the community to know that this is what we're here for,
Yeah.
okay?
Times are changing and.
So I'm gonna ask that we end this right here.
Okay.
We're listening, we hear you, and we thank you all for your various opinions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hopefully that you guys actually follow through on your word, because as a fellow parent right here is saying that you guys have not followed through on your words, so it's absurd and it's,
Thank you.
very concerning. So
Yep.
hopefully this, goes somewhere.
Thank you. Ms. Leffler,
One thing, I share you, and that I'm very proud of every.
respectfully,
I'm sorry.
Period.
I just wanted to.
yeah, Ms. Leffler, respectfully, I'm gonna ask that we end this conversation now. Thank you. So the last speaker, Mr. Moss.
My name is Bill Moss. I'm a resident of Brentwood, former teacher of the Brentwood School District, 11 years mathematics at Brentwood High School, as well as at Brentwood North Middle School. I'm also the Director of Academic Affairs at Lawrence High School in the Lawrence School District. I do have a lot to say about the table of organization and human rights as it pertains to age and gender and race in this district. I want to thank Mr. Fritz for bringing our attention to the plans that are present on the district website. There is, when you look up district and school comprehensive plans, a comprehensive plan for the year 2021-2022. I'm curious as to who wrote that.
Continue with the comments, Mr. Moss.
I guess you won't tell me. But it does say here that your plan entails a diversity, equity, and inclusion committee comprised of all key stakeholder groups. I would like to know who is on that committee and when it has met, and why the NAACP has not been invited to be on that committee. I will remind you that this is not my first time at this microphone, and I've been here plenty of times offering the NAACP members to participate in the hiring processes of this district because of the discrimination that African Americans and others have experienced at the hands of this district in hiring. You have not invited one of those members that were emailed to you to be part of the hiring committees. In addition to that, nobody from the NAACP has been invited to be on a diversity, equity, and inclusion committee as you have here in your comprehensive improvement plan, because you are a targeted district, the lowest rating in New York State. So what I'm asking you is, if you're going to send this to the state, because I'm an administrator and I know this is what they have to do because we are a low targeted school, You better, at the very least, get it right and have true diversity, equity, and inclusion of all the stakeholders, truly the residents, including the civil rights and human rights leaders in the neighborhood, part of the solution. You're not going to get equal opportunity if you don't have people who know about equal opportunity at the table to teach you about equal opportunity. Because as someone who has experienced the racial discrimination, as well as the retaliation, as well as watched others experience the same, I can tell you that you are far from understanding the definitions of law when it comes to human rights, civil rights, equal rights, and even your own policies on those rights. Okay? And you have made steps in the opposite direction of supporting our young people and their voice in this community. Do you have the students, especially from the high school, on a diversity, equity, and inclusion committee? Probably not, if you don't have the NAACP. I am one of the people who authored the EEO policies of this district, including the students' rights policies of this district. But for some reason, I can't find that policy online anymore. Can somebody tell me what happened to the students' rights policy of this district? Why there is no longer a student liaison policy of this district? The voice of this community, student body, no longer is present at these board meetings since you all took office? Can somebody tell me why that is the case? Why would you cut out the voice of the student body at Brentwood High School here? You're talking to the guy who wrote the policy as a member of the policy committee and as someone who had ran candidates for the board successfully, crafted the policy, submitted it to trustees. They did what they wanted to do with it, zhuzhed it up, as so to speak, and put it into place. And we had a student at this microphone every board meeting for over 10 years. But when you all got here, you removed it. It's not on the agenda tonight. Where is that young person from the high school who's supposed to be speaking on their behalf? So that it doesn't have to get this far. So that things can be nipped in the bud early. That was the whole point, that the students would have a voice here. Why would anybody, I don't even understand how any of you as educators, and some of you taught some of our most fragile learners, why you would be okay on any moment, on any day, with that happening. Walking out on our kids and their voices is part of the problem. Not standing up for our children when you decide to have a seat at the table is part of the problem. Somebody on this board, some majority decided for the students to no longer have a voice here. And those of you who say that you're all about the children said nothing about it. And I am no longer going to be quiet and sit here as their voice got demolished, because it has ramifications. And then it comes up and it hits a head of kids walking out of school during the day because they're that frustrated and that not heard. I'm tired of people playing politics with people's lives instead of doing the good work that they do on their jobs every day, but then they come here and can't stand up for kids. Human rights and civil rights are real. They're not some flimsy-pamsy fancy thing. And some policies haven't been addressed in our community since 1965 when they were imposed by the federal government. That's how behind some of us are. But Brentwood does not have to be that way. And I shouldn't have to put lawsuits forward to make you change. For 3 years, I've come to this microphone and asked you to critically and exactly follow the equal employment opportunities of this district. The policies of this district. Only to come here and hear, oh, of course we're going to look into and change that policy and we'll do it right away. I've been coming to you for 3 years, asking for you to pay attention to the policies of this district. And it wasn't until I had to put your names in lights through lawsuits that things actually started changing. Because I'm sure your attorneys told you, you better start changing some of this stuff. You're not doing your own policies.
Let me correct you. We have never been instructed by attorneys to change any of the policies.
So why did you change them then?
Because we care. We have moved forward.
Well, I
for lots of
appreciate that
reasons,
it took, I
none of
appreciate
them-
that you care today.
None of them have.
I appreciate that you care today, but honestly, everybody was allowed to speak uninterrupted, and this is now a second board meeting in a row, Mr. Lochner, that while I am speaking, you have interrupted me.
And I will continue to interrupt because
Okay,
you're saying things that are inaccurate and untrue.
And that's, so to that point, Mr. Lochner, I am going to please ask that you allow Mr. Moss to finish the statement. Mr. Moss, you'll take a seat, and we will have a rebuttal.
Thank you.
This is the way this meeting is going to work, so.
I appreciate that, Mr. Feliciano.
I do believe that we are at about the 9-minute mark.
There were
Continue.
people who spoke longer than 9 minutes today.
Absolutely, absolutely. So can you just continue, wrap up the comment, so that we can have a word in Mr. Lochner?
Sure, absolutely. That's the respectful thing to do, Mr. Lochner. And not interrupt the parents, the students, or the taxpayers of this district while they're speaking. Like I was saying, I am sure that any good attorney would warn you that you should not continue down the road of not obeying your own policies. It's against the interest of this district. I will also say that we have to be very careful about the road we let people talk about openly in public the performance of a single person. We have to be careful of that. I've been the victim of that. The person who walked out of the room attacked me at this microphone based on my personnel record. I have lawsuits about that too, because of the lack of reaction here from this board. I do have a question about the surplus funds that I saw on the agenda tonight. How much extra money is there in surplus? I see that we have $3 million going into the, I guess, building fund. And how much more money is left over in surplus funds?
Mr. Moss, again, this is a comment section. If you have.
Is that something that you can get to me?
Absolutely. If you want, you know.
The table of organization was also something that was promised to me. Last board meeting, it was said at the microphone that the table of organization was something that had to be worked on. I disagreed that it should be something that's voted on in public because it establishes the chain of command throughout the entire district. But it was told to me that this would happen next month. We're here in next month. I don't see a table of organization. I would like a copy of the table of organization in addition to the job description for the new positions that were negotiated with the unions.
And you're more than welcome to foil that with district clerk. I mean,
If I foil it, how long is it going to take? Because some of my FOIL requests take over a year.
I think that the table of organization is pretty easy. I think that, that's something that we have. Foil it and just CC me on it, and that would be fine, okay?
Yep. So as I was saying, civil and human rights are an important aspect to the running of all of our organizations in this country, including this school district. I hope that part of the diversity, equity, and inclusion is going to include civil rights and human rights experts to be at the table to inform this district of what those laws are and what they mean in the year 2021. Not 1965, not 1985, 2021. Do I have your assurance that that's going to happen, Mr. Feliciano?
Can you restate?
Were you even listening? Okay. So what I said was, you have a diversity, equity, and inclusion committee that either your superintendent or assistant superintendents wrote to the state and said as their number one priority in their comprehensive education plan that they are going to have a diversity, equity, and inclusion committee. Are you aware of this?
Continue, Mr. Moss.
So I'm asking you, do I have your assurance that civil rights and human rights experts are going to be part of a diversity, equity, and inclusion committee so that this district, which has failed miserably in my eyes in executing those policies, can have experts at the table to inform the teachers, the administrators, the staff, and the rest of the stakeholders about what these laws really are in 2021, because many of them have changed over the years. And if you're not doing constant training, you're not going to know what the laws are, and you're going to abuse the rights of young people in the school. You're going to abuse the rights of employees in the school. You're going to abuse the rights of applicants who apply for jobs or contractors who want contracts in this district. If you don't actually train yourselves on those laws on a regular basis, you are bound to abuse them. So I'm asking you for your commitment, Mr. President, that civil rights and human rights activists and experts are going to be part of the solution here and on that diversity, equity, and inclusion committee.
We will have experts on this community, on this committee. I think that we don't lack any knowledge in that field already. And yeah, so I don't see a problem with any of that that you have said. So continue, Mr. Moss.
Thank you.
Please.
My last input has to do with the DASA program here in the district, Dignity for All Students Act. And I want to know who is the person at the high school who is the DASA coordinator. How do the students know to contact that DASA coordinator? Where are the forms located? So you can tell the public tonight, so they can see it on video, and the students who are here can notify their peers on what they need to do if they feel that their students' rights have been violated.
Okay, so we'll get to that when you
I'm done. That's it.
Please have a seat.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Moss, or actually to the community that's out there listening, I just really have to start with this, and I apologize, Mr. Lochner, for interrupting you, and I know that you're incredibly passionate about all of this, and you know, we've had our moments, but I want to start by saying that just because it's said, to everybody who's listening out there, just because it's said at the microphone doesn't mean that it's true, okay? I have to repeat that. Just because it's said doesn't make it true. There are a lot of things that were said just now that I wholeheartedly disagree with, that I believe don't represent my truth, right? The truth for many of the people within this district through their eyes. And yes, you know, sometimes we have speakers up there that are grandstanding, that are putting information out there that they want the community members to believe is factual, when in all reality, as far as I'm concerned, and I believe that, you know, Mr. Lochner and so many members of this board up here believe that the exact opposite is what it is that's happening. This idea that we have shut down the student body and that we no longer have a student liaison up here was something that this board did purposefully to take away that voice from the student body is absurd. It is fabricated. That is that's not even part of a truth. So as I was listening, I was also trying to look up the names of the student liaisons that we've had here in the past. We have all had relationships with them, very positive relationships, and I looked into my phone contact list to see if I can get those names, because these are students, alumni, who can provide testimony as to what it was that we were trying to do here. Yes, we don't have a student liaison right now, but that is not the board's doing. So our last student liaison, who I continue to believe is an incredible human being, was Keanu Waters. Mr. Lochner, you remember Mr. Waters? He's alumni. I hope that he's doing well. An incredible human being. He was the last alumni that we had here as a student liaison. Prior to that, we had a Mr. Michael Garcia, and we had a Mr. Jose Saez. Those were the students whose voices were here representing the vast majority of high school students. They came to the microphone, we were engaged, but that wasn't something that this board took away. For some reason, it just didn't continue to evolve in the high school. Now, listen, we're all for having that piece of student liaison back on our agenda. I have absolutely no problem, and I don't think that there's a member on this board who has a problem doing that. It just, for some reason, it just kind of whittled away. It evaporated. The energy behind that didn't continue. So the invitation is there, and I believe that this person was elected through an organization in the high school, a student organization in the high school. Mr. Lochner,
The student council.
Student
actually
council
appoints it.
was the one who elected this student liaison. So that is how this person came to be. I don't know what happened, but they are more than welcome to be here, and we will make that time available to that student liaison. Absolutely. So there's a factual component. There's one example of what was presented to this community that I just disagree with completely. I don't think that it represents the truth in any way, shape, or form. And you have to ask yourself then why? Why all of this grandstanding? Why all of this finger pointing? Well, look, I'm going to tell you right now that, we have an incredibly progressive Board of Education. We have torn down obstacles. We have created new paths for minority candidates to gain employment within this district like no previous board before us. We have been incredibly progressive with the support of our central administrators, with the support of the people who are making those decisions for us. And, we have implemented new policy. We have implemented, we've hired a diversity, equity, and inclusion officer that represents the board in those hiring committees. So to stand here and say that we are the worst, I disagree with completely, absolutely. And I believe that is where the passion that Mr. Lochner, has displayed in the last meeting and this meeting, because sometimes it's just hard to hear, right? And still maintain your composure. But that is what we have to do. Because anything short of that, we will be accused of being disrespectful. We will be accused of shutting down, an African-American civil rights leader. We will be accused of doing all these terrible things, right? And there is no basis to these accusations. I want to say that we would be falsely accused, right? So, yes, so we had to change the dynamic of these meetings because at the end of the day, they weren't producing and they weren't serving this community well. We are gaining the discipline necessary in these meetings and in this new structure that we are creating as we speak, right? To address all of these issues in a honest and upfront manner. We're going to give you the time to speak your mind. Whether it's true or not is not for me to say while you're speaking, but when you're done, we will have the last word. And I'm telling you right now that I don't think that there's a member on this board, don't think there's a central administrative person who would agree with some of the things that are being tossed at us, some of the things that are being lobbed at us. We have not removed policies to undo the voices of the student body. That is just not right. What we're not going to do is we're not going to do the cross-examination. So Mr. Lochner, or if there's somebody who can answer this question, who is the DASA contact within the district? Because I believe that was a valid question.
Yeah,
and I believe
that's a good question. Yeah, there are 2 DASA coordinators in the high school, Jim Gessick in the Ross Center and Judy Crawford in the Sondling Center.
So all students know who these 2 individuals are. Great people as far as I'm concerned, Judy Crawford, Mr. Gessick. So the DASA the contact person, the reason why that's important is because I believe that the DASA stands for Dignity for All Students Act, right? So that's another resource that the student body has when they have issues similar to what was being presented tonight. And here's what, here's another, I guess, falsehood. No. I'm really trying to be incredibly respectful of everyone. So what I'm saying is that if there is no satisfaction down one road, there are so many roads that students, parents, community members can travel to get their voice heard. That is what exists in this district. Ultimately, the board is at the highest level of that complaint department. And we will not ignore what it is that's being presented to us. But that in no way, shape, or form implies that it is being ignored along the way. Now, we may have differences in terms of how things are handled, but it is being addressed. We have had tremendous amount of conversation with Mr. Lochner, and I'm going to say that I truly believe that he is sincere in all of his efforts to represent this board well at the district level. Mr. Lochner, I know there's a whole bunch of things that you wanted to add.
Yeah, I just, it seems like every month that, the hiring policy comes up. I will say this, I think I've mentioned this many times, that my number one concern as superintendent is to hire administrators who I think are outstanding. And I think over the last 5 years, I'm very proud of the administrators that we've hired. As a matter of fact, we hired 2 this evening. Dion is here with us now. I am going to say this, I don't like to speak like this because I don't think it should come down to race. But I do want to, I think I have to set the record straight because I am accused every single month of not doing something, that I'm not hiring, I'm ignoring the hiring policy and I don't know what is being said, but I'm not diversifying the workforce. I'm going to tell you right now, if I look at all of the administrators that I have hired or promoted, I have about 80% are minorities, okay? 80%. That is astounding. Here's the story. First time you've ever heard me say this, because I really don't care. I think I've hired great administrators, and I'll continue to do that as long as I am here. And I will not look at race. It will not be the number one. It's far from the number one component. I want intelligent, bright, articulate people who love the kids. Dion, who we hired this evening, is one of them. Okay? But I will tell you, almost 80%. Now, I'm saying me because I'm accused a lot. But in all honesty, the board has also should celebrate this. that we've hired almost 80% or promoted 80% minority. So what is being said every single month here, that it is, it's all about race. I'm going to put it out there right now, that I've hired great administrators who happen to be minorities, okay? I'm not ignoring that, but I'm telling you, every single month we're being accused of not following a policy that is so far from true, it's incredible. It's absolutely false. The community hears it every single month. I got to set the record straight. I probably won't return to that percentage again, but that is an accurate percentage. No, I shouldn't have to
Thank you.
say it. You know
Yeah.
what? I shouldn't.
Yeah,
It's
we
brought
don't-
up every single month.
Yeah, so at the end of the day, that is not even a factor for what it is that this board does. And we're just going
Wait,
to.
I got to just stop. Did you just say I shouldn't have to say it at all? Every single month, you blast away about us not hiring minorities. You're kidding me. I just said it. You just said I don't have to say it. You got to be kidding me. I had to say it because you bring it up every month.
I challenge that 80%.
So what we're going to do is we're going to try to conclude this meeting. Thank you so much for the community, for coming out. Ms. Lotion, thank you so much for everything that you're trying to do. Ms. Connor, the board members, I would like a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting.
Motion.
Motion by trustee Holder Daniel. A second, please.
Second.
Second by trustee Burgos. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? So moved. Have a good night, everyone.
Right.